The problem with daylight savings time is that it disrupts your natural clock, where you intuitively can sense what time of day it is. This helps you get to meetings on time, make plans, and it is your general circadian rhythm. So it just helps you structure your day and get into a habit and a groove, and helps you be productive and so forth. Daylight savings time just kind of throws the whole thing off, and it actually leads to things like more car accidents. There have been studies that show that people have more heart problems and strokes during the daylight savings time period. It causes people to miss important meetings and just causes a lot of chaos for seemingly no reason. Apparently, daylight savings time was implemented in Canada, at least back in World War II, I believe, as a form of energy conservation. So when the sun, I guess people needed to use less light, so they would shift the time of day so that it would conserve energy, essentially. But besides that, it's basically a useless thing that causes a lot of problems in many average people's lives. And this is something that wasn't really on my radar for a long time. Now, I know this can sound kind of pointless. Like, oh, Adam, what's the big deal? Just, shift the time, you get used to it, whatever. And that's how I thought as well. But last year, I was on a meditation retreat at the Dharma Center of Canada. It's a meditation center in the northeast, in province of Ontario in Canada. And halfway through the retreat, or this was after the retreat, there was a man there who was one of my friends, and he came into the room. He was so excited and so happy. And I was like, hey man, what's up? He's like, I can't believe they finally did it. Yes! And this is just caught me off guard. It's like, what did they do? The government of Canada finally decided to abolish daylight savings time. And I was like, oh, awesome. Cool, I guess, right? He's like, no, you don't understand. This is the best thing ever. I've been wanting them to do this for over 20 years. So I was like, oh, okay. Sure, I guess that's a good thing. Yeah, that makes sense. So that was the first thing that kind of put daylight savings time on my radar, that there's people out there that actually want it to stop, and it's an important thing to them. Okay. The second thing was that I was listening to a podcast from the medical medium, who is a health advisor who has helped me to clear my eczema and a lot of other very debilitating chronic health symptoms. He's helped millions of people all over the world with diet changes in fruit and vegetables and stuff like this. He also has a lot of sort of intuitive wisdom that he's just gained from his experience with helping people for over 50 years and so forth. So yeah, he was doing a podcast, and he mentioned that daylight savings time can be extremely detrimental to certain people who have severe chronic illnesses and who are thereby more sensitive to shifts in their environment. Okay, so this is something that you really need to think about, because someone like myself who doesn't suffer from severe chronic illnesses, who is becoming more sensitive as the years go on. I do more meditation. I try to be more compassionate to other people. But when I was younger, I was kind of just like a leatherhead. Like, I don't care. Things don't affect me. It's whatever, the hours change, whatever. I don't care. Let me just play video games and live my life. But this kind of caught me off guard, because I started thinking, you're right. There's certain people on Earth who are very, very, very sensitive to changes in their environment, or certain smells and scents. For example, when you shampoo your hair and you put all this, heavily scented shampoo, and you go out in public, there's certain people who actually have an allergic reaction, and they're extremely severely sensitive to these scents, and it can actually destabilize their nervous system. I've met people like this where she can't even go outside. It gives her an allergic reaction. She has to be very careful about these certain scents and being exposed to them. It can ruin her whole day. So daylight savings time is one of those things where if you are suffering from severe chronic illness like thyroid problems or nervous system issues, then something as simple as shifting the hour of the day can be massively destabilizing for you. And this is something that I don't suffer from chronic illnesses, and this was like the first year where I really started to notice how debilitating it is to shift the whole circadian rhythm of my body and of my mind. It's completely destabilizing. So I'm a coach. I work online. I'm always on and off Zoom meetings and stuff. And I have this sort of internal clock. You probably do too, where you just kind of like know what time it is, more or less, within about 30 minutes. You have a general sense of like, is it 5 o'clock or is it 6 o'clock? You kind of generally know what time it is. But once the daylight savings time hits, it's like everything is ruined. It's like I don't know what time it is anymore. I'm so destabilized to the point where it's like my whole internal clock is just confused. Like right now, I don't even know what time it is. I think it's like 5 o'clock. My body thinks it's 5 o'clock, but I'm pretty sure if I go check the time, it's actually 6 o'clock. So now I have to basically shift my entire circadian rhythm, which is not like a little thing. It's not like a little tiny like, oh, just shift your circadian rhythm. No, this is like a habitual thing that is like our bodies are in harmony with the sun and the moon and the seasons and so forth. And it's not a little thing to just like have to shift your entire internal clock. So think about it. Throughout history, this has never had to happen before. Human beings just function based on the sun. Where the sun is in the sky, that's the time of day. So our natural clocks have never had to do this sort of shifting and acrobatics for seemingly no reason. So what Anthony William was saying on the podcast, which was very interesting, was he was saying that certain powers that be actually they maintain this daylight savings time because it is so detrimental to people, and it kind of keeps them confused, and it just kind of causes chaos, and it causes people to be less connected to nature and to their own intuition. It kind of just like throws a wrench in the works. Basically, it's like, now, if this sounds conspiratorial, I just wanted to point out that there are forces on Earth that don't have the best interests of all people in mind. Now, whether you believe that or not, it's not really rocket science. I don't know specifically what is going on. Okay, I'm not claiming to know. I have no idea. Maybe it's just an old, outdated thing that we've, for some reason, have failed to abolish. But it definitely, we can say for sure that it definitely causes chaos for people. It is definitely harmful for people's health. And it just negatively affects your daily life in a way that's not really necessary. All right? So I wanted you to just be a little bit more sensitive to what actually happens to your body and to your mind during this daylight savings time shift. Pay attention, because when my clock is ruined, then it's almost like I feel like I'm floating in this sort of like limbo, and I feel less disciplined. I feel less on routine. I feel like I'm less organized and stuff. And then this causes me to just want to like vegetate out and just watch movies and almost like give up my ambitions or whatever. Now, it's very easy for me because I do nothing all day. I literally meditate and go out in nature and relax and talk to people once in a while, and my life is very easy. But I can imagine for people who are really like regimented in their schedule, this is a huge problem, okay? And I personally like my sleep. I like everything to be just kind of the way it is, and this whole time shifting is just really, it's just a huge annoyance that I don't think needs to exist anymore. So, you agree with me, then I guess the action step is you can check if there's a petition online for your particular area, because I know I have people who watch me from all around the world. If you live in Canada, specifically Ontario, there's a petition that I'll link in the description. There's over 89,000 people that have signed it since 2019 to abolish daylight savings time. I don't think it benefits anyone. We can even go through a case study, like what's the case? How does it benefit us? Well, we get more sun, but not really, because you're getting you're getting an extra hour from the hour that you needlessly took away before. So it's like you're gaining an extra hour, but it's like no, because you have to take it away after. So you're just disrupting people. You see what I mean? Nothing's being gained. It's just like we're just shifting things for no reason. All right, and it does cause people health problems. Now, I wanted to just say, like what Anthony Williams said in his little podcast, I'll try to find it, I'll link it in the description for you. He said that certain people with severe chronic illnesses who are very sensitive to these shifts, they're like the canaries in the coal mine. Okay? So that saying basically means a long time ago, or I don't know if they still do this, but coal miners would bring a canary in a cage, a little bird, down into the coal mine with them, because canaries are very sensitive to certain air pressure changes. So if the air pressure in the mine gets to a certain level that's not safe for the miners to be in, it could cause a collapse. The canary then starts chirping in a certain way, and the tone of their chirp changes, almost like an alarm, and that tells the miners that it's not safe to be in the mine, so they have to leave. So the canary in the coal mine is like the warning bell. Okay, so certain people in our society who are heavily sensitive to changes in their environment. Me, not so much. I'm a bit of a leatherhead. I'm getting a bit more sensitive as I practice meditation and so forth. But there are people who are more sensitive than me. They're the canaries in the coal mine, showing us that, yeah, it's not good for any of our health. Okay? Not just for people who with chronic illness, but any of us don't need to be, what's the word? We don't need to be exposed to this sort of change that throws a wrench in the works of our whole circadian rhythm and messes up our sleep and it can potentially give us health problems and just make us confused and just throw us off for no reason. Okay, so I believe that there are certain powers that be that really want this to just kind of mess people up. That doesn't really matter if that's true or not. The point is this thing doesn't need to exist anymore, and maybe you can be more vocal about it or sign a petition or maybe research more into it, maybe some activism, I'm not sure. I just wanted to raise some awareness here in this video. I hope this was helpful for you, and hopefully this brings you benefit and peace in your life. Okay, bye.